Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf again of the 2017 Body, Mind and Psychic Expo, it is with absolute great pleasure that I introduce our next guest. She's sharing with us, and it's going to intrigue you, a proof of life after death. And I'm sure there's going to be room for discussions and things, but I'm now going to hand over to Marion Weatherburn for her topic.
Okay, how hard is it to follow those dances though? Like, seriously, I'm just going to sit on a chair and not move at all. I am going to refer to notes. I am going to refer to notes because it keeps me focused, and otherwise I'm so passionate about my work, I will just talk and talk and talk. Thank you for coming along to my session. I'm touched that you're all here. It's fantastic for me. My name is Marion Weatherburn, and today I would like to share with you a very special, true story. It was never going to be made public, according to me. The lady that I did the reading for, she insisted that this story go in my book, which is called Caught Between Two Worlds. There's photographs in this book of the journey as well. She insisted it go in the book because the message is so powerful, and so, we're all here today because we're all on a spiritual path. I've given over 3,500 readings in my life. I'm an internationally accredited psychic medium. I've written my first book, which is self-published, self-marketing all around Australia. In 3 weeks' time, I'm meeting with Doreen Virtue and James Van Prague to do some workshops with them, with the hope of doing some work with Hay House in America. Little old me, still, it's gobsmacking for me. All readings have been filled with one amazingness or another, as some of you have experienced today when you've come to have your reading. This particular story still makes me cry when I retell it, so bear with me or cry along with me. That's how special it is. But first, a little bit of housekeeping, a little bit more about me so you know who I am. My first book was launched last year in November and is now around Australia and internationally. It's a part memoir. I discovered my gift as a child, explored it as an adult, and when I stood at this gentleman's grave, I realised that my life was not my own, and I had a gift which I'd like to share with you today. Oh, can't lick my lips, can't lick my fingers. Okay. I discovered my gift as a teenager, which at the time was really helpful when it came to seeing answers on exam papers. I didn't know the answer, especially to maths, so I'd check over that guy over there and I could see, so yeah, cool, got that right, yep, needed that answer over there. That's how I worked. I thought everybody could do that. Or if I knew a guy was interested in me but wasn't brave enough to come and introduce himself to me, I knew. So I kind of shimmied over to him and introduced myself to him because I just used that gift. I just thought that's what you did. Mind you, way back then I didn't call it anything. I just did it. I explored my abilities during my 20s when I moved on from giving simple but perfect advice in the right place at the right time. Now I give readings. I never charge. I've done 30 years of readings plus. Never charged for the first 22 years because I never had the confidence in myself that what I had was worth giving. It took me 16 years to write this book. Is that shushing okay? 16 years to write this book. It actually only took me 12 months, but 15 years to get the confidence to think that someone might be interested in what I had to say. I am my own biggest sceptic. After all these years though, helping all these people on their own spiritual paths with psychic information, I am in awe of the power of spirit, my team, my guides, my angels. The more I know, the more I want to learn, but we will never know everything or understand everything, anything or anyone. That is until all your fingers are the same length. Have a look at your hands, right? Your fingers will never be the same length. That's how long it's going to take you to learn everything there is to learn. I provide face-to-face phone and email consultations. I have been invited to speak at several locations around the country about my work with children and teen angels. Angels, not teenagers, teen angels. Moving on, I am potentially the only Australian psychic medium that, as a result of having given a reading, I've been to the gravesite of the person I read for that came through me in a reading. I've been to where this gentleman's plane crashed on the 15th of March 1943 at Yetna, east of Geraldton. Up here on stage, or it's not on stage actually, but on this board here, and yep, they're just going to get a handout so you can see the photos of the actual journey. You can read and here I've got the official RAAF historical records of Geraldton Training Flying School of that actual plane crash. You're all welcome to come and have a look at it. In this, I don't know if you can see, but in this bowl are the actual pieces of shrapnel and metal that I collected at that site of that plane crash, flight A9173, 15th of March 1943. Walking around, what was it like? Anyway, let me start by saying that souls are simple, we just want to love and be loved. It's as humans that we complicate our lives with attitudes, egos, materialism, competitiveness and jealousy. Not all of us, but certainly a lot, and that's why this world is out of balance. This is too why children are our evolution. Tomorrow afternoon, if you're around, I'd love you to come and hear about my work with these kids. Okay, so as I put the paper down and I start to tell you the very special story about June Rose, just for a minute, imagine you're me, being a person, sitting with a lady called June Rose who's 72 years old. She invited me, just imagine for a minute having this whole experience that I'm about to share with you, imagine it happening to you. This is why my book's called Caught Between Two Worlds, caught between the spirit world and the human world. I've had to come to terms with it. It is my life, it's what I do. I'm blessed. Okay. On the 11th of November 2 years ago, I was invited to do a reading for a lady called June Rose in Victor Harbour. She invited me into her house. She invited me to sit down. She went off to make coffee. As I sat down, a gentleman sat next to me in spirit. Now, to me, it's normal. It's like talking to you is like talking to them. Oh, hi, how you going? Do you know June? He said, yes, I do. And I said, may I have your name, please? He said, my name's Charles Patching, but June knows me as Chaz. I was her dad's best friend. June is like a daughter to me. Wow, I thought that was amazing. It's true, it's real. Anyway, I looked to see how long June was going to be to make the coffee. When I looked back, he was gone. When she came out, at the same time, I had a weird look on my face because that's what I do, and she had this coffee and she said, what's wrong? And I said, well, Charles Patching was just here, but he's gone already. I'm a little bit disappointed. And she sat down and she went, oh, that was my dad's best friend. I said, yeah, I know. He said you were like a daughter to him. And he said, what is that? Oh. And that just put me off, sorry. She sat down and she said, Marion, Chaz was my dad's best friend. Do you know what day it is today? I said, it's Thursday. She said, it's the 11th of the 11th. Look at the time, it's 11 o'clock. Seriously, right? So we burst into tears. She goes, it's my dad's birthday today. Right? The whole thing just felt surreal and amazing. She said, my dad, so she said, every year my dad used to send me a telegram to say, please remember Chaz on Remembrance Day, because if it hadn't have been for him taking the plane for me that day, you wouldn't have been born. So we cried for about 40 minutes, no exaggeration there. So June said, June told me the rest of the story. Chaz and her dad Sam flew in the Western Australia Air Force together in March 1943. Her dad had just flown 5 missions of coast watch along the Western Australia coast. He'd landed the plane to refuel. His lieutenant came out to him and said, "I need you to go back up again." Chaz said, "Oh, come on, you've just done 5. I'll do it." "Okay, let's toss." So they tossed a coin. Chaz won the toss, took the plane up. Sam had a rest. Unfortunately, the plane crashed that day and all 8 men on board died at a remote location east of Geraldton, Western Australia, called Yetna. She said to me, "Marion, I've never been able to honour Chaz for taking the plane that day because I wouldn't have been born if my dad had taken the plane." That then started a journey. She said, "I've never been able to go to his grave and say thank you." That then started a journey together with my team in Spirit, who I know who they are. We were guided to the War Museum in Canberra. We did all the research on flight A9173, 15th of March 1943, got all the facts. I've got everything. I've even got the original letter that says, "Dear Mrs. Patching, we regret to inform you that your husband was killed in this plane crash on this day." I have all of that. So does Jim. This was always going to be a very private story. It's at her insistence that I'm sitting here today and that it's in my book. The War Museum in Canberra put me in touch with a guy called Robert Bandy at the Geraldton Museum in Western Australia. I rang him and I said, "Do you know anything about flight A9173 at Yetna, east of Geraldton, 15th of March?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "It's my job as a historian to put plaques at all the plane crash sites around Western Australia. There used to be a training flying school in Geraldton. This is a log of all the plane crashes. They're not all deaths, but they're all plane crashes, right? You're welcome to come and have a look at the pictures and the log and everything like that." He said, "I've got the book here. Come and have a look at it. I'll take you to the site. Okay? Come back and imagine yourself for a minute, being me, going, oh my gosh, I'm going to where this man died." He took us out to the plane crash site, which was about 3/4 of an hour east of Geraldton, and we walked around the most, as you can see in the photos, this most barren hilltop. And I went with a friend, and we were both felt like we were on sacred ground, like we were trespassing, like we shouldn't be there. It was so humbling and amazing, like very surreal. When we came back to Robert, who's in the photo, when we came back to Robert, he handed me some shrapnel. He said, "Here, have this, take it back to June. She'll appreciate it." I said, "What is it?" She said, "It's the leftover shards and remains that are still on this ground today. This is them here. You're welcome to come and have a look. Please don't touch." Okay. People have asked me, did I feel anything while we were walking around? No, I didn't. I was just awestruck. I was just awestruck that this had all started with a reading on the 11th of the 11th at 11 a.m. I brought the pieces home. I bought a heart-shaped box and I put some of these pieces in there for June, 72 years old, June Rose, and brought them back to her. She was with us all that day. We kept sending her videos and photos and talking on the phone and crying and everything like that. It was just the most amazing thing, the most amazing journey. She said, "Marion, you have to put this in your book." I said, "I can't, June. This is your story." She said, "No, you have to. You put other people's stories in that book, just as profound, but different." The reason I'm here today sorry. Sorry, this is really emotional stuff. The reason I'm here today is just to let you know that there is more to life. Don't give up. Guides are selfish. Sounds silly, doesn't it? They want us to listen to them. Thank you, Kimberly. They want us to listen to them because it evolves their soul. It evolves them. We listen to them, it evolves us. When you and I pass, we're all going to be guides as well. There's no mystery to this stuff. It is real. Yeah. So there's just so much I could share with you. And it's probably only been 10 minutes, has it? I don't know. Don't know how long it's been. That is what I wanted to share with you today. I'm not here to prove anything. But for me personally, to hold these pieces is as close as I can get to giving me faith that not only are each and every one of you real souls, so are they. Spirituality is evolving so fast now, so fast, and I'll talk about the children tomorrow and the role that they play and the role that you guys play as parents. I'd love to share some of the stories with you now that these kids are amazing. So anyway, 5. Oh wow, that went quick. Okay, cool. So anyway, I hope you take away something from what I've said today. When you go home tonight and it's dark and you turn on the light, you will have faith that the light comes on. I want you to have faith that they are there too. But you need to invite them in. They're not just going to barge in. Invite them in.
Children's yoga down in the meditation room. So head on down there. It's going to start in around about 5 minutes. So that's at the back.
I think that's about enough for me on this one.
You all get your own mat.
Are there any
have some stretching.
questions? If you can yell. Sorry. Okay. So,
This is very new to me, actually feeling like I need to stand up and tell you something. Hi. This wasn't pre-planned. I'm listening to what Marion is having to tell you, and I feel a real strong need to tell you something myself.
is it loud enough?
I didn't know Marion before I bought and read her book. And her book, her title, summed up exactly where I was at in my life. I was a child that was born with a certain level of gifts, but due to my parents not accepting that, they essentially suppressed it. So they suppressed it in such a way that I suffered guilt and negativity to my own self and my own power and the communication skills that I had with spirit. And it impacted on my life in a really negative way, because when you're not true to self, you can't do what you're supposed to do. Now, Marion's book came to me in a really special way. I don't remember anything in general, but I remembered the picture on the cover, and I couldn't even remember the title. And 48 hours later, I went and I made sure I found it. Well, it literally jumped off the shelves at me in a really obscure little bookshop. And I read this book. In relation to children that are born with these abilities, which most of us are, they're suppressed in us. We're conditioned to believe otherwise, okay? We're conditioned to believe that spirit isn't real, that we have to live in today, in the here and now. When I read this, I got to page 12 and I was in tears because I felt like I was understood and I felt like I wasn't alone, because these are true stories and I knew they were true because I had experienced it, but I had never seen anyone brave enough to write it down in everyday speak. I hadn't met her. I didn't even know she lived in the same town as me. And and I felt compelled to send her a message, which I did. From there, I made an appointment, and I recommend to anyone in this room who's sitting on the fence about their spirituality, whether they're in denial, whether you're celebrating it, please read this. Please read this book and alleviate yourself and know that you're not alone and that it's real. So thank you, Marion. You impacted my life greatly.
Thank you. Okay, wow, that's amazing, thank you. So the book is basically a memoir followed by 30 real profound readings, all of which are followed by the testimonial of the person that I read for, followed by some warm, spiritual, fuzzy, good reading. Very easy to read. People have read it in 2 days. It's not complicated to speak. Are there any questions? Yes? No? Yes? No questions? All right, thank you for coming and listening to me. Thank you. Appreciate it. Oh, if you like me on Facebook, chance to win a free book.